Hello YouTube and welcome to the channel. Now then, today's video is going to be the second part of our Kit C34 build. This kit has been very kindly supplied to me by WPL, and obviously this video is going to be sponsored by them. They've supplied a Kit C34, the ordinary one, and they've also given me a 2-speed gearbox and two-speed gearbox and motor, I should say, and the new RES-V3 electronics to use. So today's video we're going to be fitting the electronics, and hopefully by the end of the video we'll have a chassis that can move under its own steam. Now then, this is the bit of the build I've been dreading, because if I get something wrong or mess something up and something melts, it's not going to be much of a running video at the end. So hopefully I'll triple check everything and we won't have an issue. But like I say, they've provided all these bits and pieces WPL. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before we start, I have actually dove into the bag containing the 2-speed motor and gearbox, and I fitted a capacitor and motor wires. I'm going to basically use everything that they supplied me. I'm not going to put any aftermarket wires on, I'm not going to put anything else on. I'm just going to use everything that they've supplied, so we'll be able to see what exactly it's like and what exactly is entailed. But I've gone ahead and I've actually screwed the servo in the position that I think it should be in on the gearbox, and like I say, I've fitted the motor wires and supplied capacitor. Now in the bag with the motor you also get like a little bag of bits, and I presume that little black cam looking fitting there is what we're going to use as the arm to activate the 2 gears. Also in the RES-V3 kit we get this dinky little speaker. Now if you can remember back to sort of the version 1, there's also, I've got a video on there about that as well, on the B24. This thing, compared with the old speaker, is absolutely minute. That was one of the things that was very difficult. It was very difficult to mount the original speaker because it's so large, but this thing is minute. It should be no problem at all. What else do we get? Now, obviously they've supplied a controller, and I'll pull this out of the bag in a minute, but this has got all the features, bits and pieces in order to get the shift and the speaker to work. Let's have a quick rifle for me. Now, they do actually supply some instructions for the board, which is good. Hopefully this will stop me from blowing it up. Now what I'm going to do is connect everything together, and we're going to have sort of a dry build, if you like, to make sure everything works. So I'm going to go ahead, connect everything as per the instructions, and see what happens. Okay, that's everything connected up. It took me ages to get it to work. I did think I'd blown it up at one point, even though I was like super careful with connecting all the power leads up, etc. to it. But it just turns out that I was being thick. But I'll show you what you have to do every time you turn it on. So basically on the controller, you've got, you'd be very familiar with all these. You've got an on-off button, a shift gear button, a button for the speaker and the lights, because this has got sound, don't forget, and a adjustment for the steering trim. Now you turn the transmitter on, turn the electrics to the board on, and the speaker pops. Now every time you do it, you have to press that vehicle switching button. There you go. If you don't, nothing happens, and that's where I was going wrong. So now you know. But now everything should. Oh, there you go. Got steering. We've got a gear shift. I'll just turn the speaker off. We've got a gear shift, if you can hear that, and oh, we've got power to the motor. So everything appears to work. What we need to do now is put it all into there. See what happens. Now there's a couple of things I didn't realise until I actually looked at the instructions. One of which is you can connect this board to an external ESC. So if you wanted a bit more go, or you wanted to use a different transmitter, etc., you can do that. We're not going to do that. I want to see how powerful this board is on its own, so we're not going to connect it to an external ESC, even though you can do. And I'm sure somewhere I've read that you can use 3S on this. So I'm quite surprised about that. So 3S, and you can connect it to an external ESC. Winner. Also, before we go and bung it in the chassis, I'm going to quickly go through where everything goes, just so if you're building one of these, it might give you a better idea. There we have the two servos. The middle servo is the steering servo on these set of 3 outputs, if you like, and the lower servo, that goes to the servo on the 2-speed gearbox. Now the top one, which is empty, says auxiliary. Now I'm wondering if that's for the winch. So that could be for the winch. These set of connectors here, the end one is connected to the battery, and the middle one is the power, and this end one goes to the motor. So it's very important, I can't stress this enough, that you get that one correct the right way around, otherwise you will melt the board virtually instantly. So you must remember to get the polarity, the positive and the minus, the correct way around, and it does actually tell you in the instructions, so basically there's no excuse. So that is, apart from that one there, that's the speaker, by the way, and all these you can run lights on. So if you wanted indicators and rear lights, etc., that bank of connectors there deals with that. So basically that's everything I've connected up, so you're as wise as me. Now, as I was installing the motor in the frame, I realised I'd forgotten to install the gear shift cam on the servo, and you have to do this before you put it in the frame, otherwise, well, basically you can't get to it. So now when I press the button on the controller, we shift between high and low ratio. Now it takes a little bit of messing around with that cam in order to get it to its maximum extension when you press the button, but to me that's as far as that rod goes, so that's pretty much it really. So that's low ratio, you can see down there. If I release it, that's high. So I'll go ahead and put the motor in the frame. Right chaps, that's the motor in, servo connected to the steering, and I've also connected the remainder of the drive shafts to the motor output, so they're now connected to the axles. So why don't we try to see what happens. So turn it on, turn the old controller on, press the shift gear button, and that binds it. So, oh yes, we've got sound, V8 sound, steering, check. Now, backwards and forwards, look at that. I think we can shift, put it in low range as well. Oh, so that gives us a much nicer crawl, that does. Oh, okay. Oh, you can adjust the sound on the speaker as well. So that's the electronic side done. So that's basically today's video complete. We've installed the motor, the servo and all the electronics. So the next step is to build the body and then get out and test the thing. I'm really impressed with the speaker. It is dead loud for the size. Just one thing I think before we go, just quickly show you this. Oh gosh. So when you put the motor and the gearbox in, the little cam and arm does run very close to the frame, and you can just move it round slightly, but as you can see it just about clears. Okay, so that's basically RES version 3 installation complete. We've got our 2-speed in, servo, etc. There wasn't really anything too difficult there. As long as you follow the instructions and the wiring diagram, you'll be absolutely fine. The only problem I did have was of my own making, because I forgot to press the shift gears button to bind the controller to the board. Because obviously with these new controllers you can basically run 2 vehicles off one, so you have to remember every time you switch it on, press the shift gears button, and that will bind to the board. Once again, a massive thank you to WPL for supplying the bits and pieces for this video. This video is sponsored by them, and all the products you see here that I've used, all the links can be found in the description below. So if you click one of them, you can go over to the official WPL store and you can buy all these bits and pieces. And if you do, it'll do me a massive favour as well, because like I say, they're all affiliate links, so I get a little tick next to my name to say that you've been. So anyway, if you found this video of some use and interest, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're feeling that way inclined, hit that subscribe button for more similar content in the future. So don't forget, the next video is completing the bodywork and finally taking it for a run. So whatever you do, don't miss it. Catch you again soon, guys, and thanks for watching.